All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. So in this one, we're going to go over the highlights of the weekly podcast and update for the community that Splitgate 2 officially does every week. So we're going to break it down as best we can at this point. So let's start with game mode. So first of all, they did mention that Fiesta, game modes like Shoddy Snipes as well. Free-for-all we mentioned in yesterday's video, and that's where I got that from. And party modes like One in the Chamber. And of course, the highly requested No Portals game mode will be back and will be more frequently used if they're going to be repeatedly requested, and obviously ones that are going to be on rotation as opposed to permanent. But all of those will definitely be back. And one of the things that was specifically mentioned was no portals. So for those of you guys that have been mentioning that, and for me personally, who certainly loves the movement of that and doesn't use portals nearly as much as he should, despite the fact that portals really don't bother me all that much, except for very, very, very specific situations, I would have to say, that this is definitely exciting. And a lot of people really love party game modes. So that's definitely something. And I remember One in the Chamber, I believe, was a big part of the original Splitgate. So that was something that they mentioned as well later on. So another thing, and I can't believe this, so another thing that they're eliminating is the TDM XP gate. So apparently you couldn't play TDM if you didn't have a certain amount of XP. I guess they wanted you to play other game modes, but for me that never really made sense, because throughout the history of first-person shooters, especially when you're talking about the beginning of the first-person shooter iteration, like the arena shooter, which this game is a variation of, when you're looking at games like Quake and Unreal Tournament and stuff like that, like the most popular modes were deathmatch, or should I say team deathmatch, right? And throughout history, whether it's a Call of Duty, whether it's whatever, right? Even Halo, right? I remember in Halo Infinite, the community was pissed that Team Slayer wasn't even in the game at launch. That, it came like 3 weeks later or whatnot. So it's like Team Deathmatch is the most popular game mode throughout first-person shooter history to this very day. So it's like, why in the world would you have an XP gate? Like, I understand that you want players to play like some of these other game modes that you've obviously made, but for the most part, most people, again, this is a historic fact, they just want to get in there and kill shit. And I'm one of the people who remains to be one of these people, despite the fact that I've played first-person shooters for so long. I just want to get in there and kill shit. That's it, right? Whether it's a team deathmatch or a free-for-all. And if I'm going to play an objective-based game mode, I'm very specific in terms of what that objective-based game mode is. But for the most part, I just want to get in there and slay shit. So, all right, so that's a good thing that they eliminated the team deathmatch XP gate. There should be no XP gates, period, in my opinion. Next up, the community map playlist. So they're very impressed, first of all, with the community in terms of what they've created as far as the community map playlist. And they're also going to be having upcoming playlists with maps as well. And also another thing is obviously the battle pass time will be extended. That we pretty much could put two and two together, and we know that. I personally think battle passes should never expire, period. I guess from a business perspective, they think that people are not going to be buying the new battle pass because they still have the old one to work on, and they just want people to just buy the new one since the old one expired. So, but again, when you're looking at overall consumer friendliness and all that kind of stuff, I don't think, especially when you got so many games that people are dividing their time with, especially the casuals, as well as those people who, who made a purchase of something, it shouldn't have an expiration date. In my opinion, it's basically like, imagine purchasing a game and that game has an expiration date, right? So imagine that. I wouldn't be surprised if they start doing that shit at some point in time, which is absolutely ridiculous, since most things are all just digital now, which sucks. But anyway, let's keep going. So they also went into a more portals philosophy. So a more portals philosophy to them doesn't mean just add more chaos and randomly put portals all over the place where you have hundreds of portals per map. They actually want to build on the movement mechanics that they have in Splitgate 2, and they have more of a role in that in terms of balance, right? Balance remains key in terms of if they're going to add in more possibilities with the portals or momentum portals or whatnot. So because not all feedback has been positive in terms of adding in portals on bypass, So, I mean, obviously there was positive feedback, but at the same time, not all of it was positive, especially when you're talking about certain specific game modes. Because if you're playing on bypass and there's, you know, the new portals that they've added in on that 4th of July update, which remains to be the default at this point, when you think about it, it basically, like, some game modes just don't flow very well because of the objectives that you have to play, as well as where the portals are placed, et cetera, et cetera. So, so yeah, that's definitely a good call. Yeah, I definitely think it could be annoying, but I do have one request as far as bypass is concerned. So if any dev is listening, please take this into consideration. Those trees, even though they're very beautiful, somebody could be using one of those new portals that you've implemented to fly from one area of the map to the other. And depending on the angle where I'm at, especially if not most angles, those trees pretty much do a really good job of making those players invisible until they almost get to that one other spot of the map. So so if we could trim those trees down or possibly get rid of them or just not have as many branches or something like that, that'd be great. Because if you're going to take that risk, like for instance, in Ozone, there's no trees. If somebody wants to use a momentum portal to go from one side of the map to the other, they're going through the top and they're really high up there, but there's nothing in the way in terms of obstructing your vision or, you know, preventing bullets from hitting them. You know what I mean? But mostly it's just a vision thing. It's like, okay, I know somebody's there. I could barely see them, but I can't shoot them because it obstructs my vision. So please do something about those trees. And hopefully I'm not alone in this. And please back me up in the comment section if you feel the same. All right. Next up, they are also actively reviewing and looking over the cosmetics and the overall monetization to make things more simple. They want to make both earning as well as purchasing of cosmetics to be fair and rewarding and obviously transparent. And the team is actually excited about where things are headed on this topic, and they can't share anything right now, but this will be talked about for sure in the future. So, and next up, with game modes, they're moving towards a more roundless philosophy with the core game modes specifically, making them a lot more traditional in the arena space, as well as bringing back some of those Splitgate 1 modes that are notably absent from Splitgate 2. And as mentioned before, One in the Chamber's coming back. I know a lot of people are big fans of that. And in closing, Ian also told the team that full transparency is key. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, full transparency is key. And once they have something ready to put out there and that they know that they're launching with it, that to get it out there and to be transparent about it and not to tease anything about it. So, which is obviously a good thing, right? It's like, we got something, let's get it out there, no teasing, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So this is good. So basically, I believe this particular episode lasted, it was less than 30 minutes. I think it was like 22 minutes, give or take, or something like that. So, but pretty much this is where we're at right now. I know that there's a lot more that the team is working on that they're not discussing just yet, because again, they're not going to unless they're ready or whatnot. And on top of that, they're still getting feedback. And there was a new survey that was out yesterday. There was already I've already made a video about that. So basically at this point, we are still in a phase, and we'll be in a phase for a while, to where there's going to be a lot of communicating back and forth, a lot of play testing back and forth. So that way, when this game relaunches, it could be in the best possible state that it can be. So with that being said, I want to know in the comment section in terms of what you guys think, as well as any kind of feedback you have for the devs. You guys can definitely let them know in the comment section down below, because I'm sure that not every single player has seen you know, their video on their end. So some people just go strictly to content creators, or, you know, sometimes they just look on Reddit or Twitter or wherever else they get their Splitgate 2 info from, or just sometimes they're not up to par with it, like some of the more hardcore players are, like myself, for instance. So, but with that being said, let everything be known down in the comment section below. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.